1. Breakthrough Starshot. Breakthrough Starshot is a research and engineering project by Breakthrough Initiatives to develop a proof-of-concept fleet of lightweight sailing interstellar probes called Starship capable of traveling to the Alpha Centauri star system 4.37 light-years away. It was founded in 2016 by Yuri Milner, Stephen Hawking, and Mark Zuckerberg. A flyby mission has been proposed to Proxima Centauri b, an Earth-sized exoplanet located in the habitable zone of its host star, Proxima Centauri, in the Alpha Centauri system, at a speed between 15% and 20% of the speed of light. The journey is estimated to take between 20 and 30 years to complete, and the message from the Starship back to Earth is estimated to take approximately 4 years. It is thought that the cost of this project will be $5 to $10 billion, and the first vehicle will be launched in 2036. So what is the purpose of this crazy project? The Breakthrough Starshot program aims to demonstrate a proof of concept for ultra-fast, light-powered nanospacecraft and lay the foundations for the first launch to Alpha Centauri in the next generation. The spacecraft will make a close pass and possibly photograph any Earth-like worlds that may exist in the system. Secondary goals are the exploration of the solar system and the detection of asteroids passing by Earth. The working logic of this space project is as follows. Starshot envisages launching a mothership carrying approximately 1,000 small spacecraft, which are centimeter scale, into high-altitude Earth orbit for deployment. A phased array of ground-based lasers will then focus a beam of light onto the ship's sails, accelerating them one by one to the target speed within 10 minutes, with an average acceleration of the order of 100 kilometers divided by S2, with around 1 TJ of illumination energy delivered to each sail. It is recommended that a headsail model has a surface area of 4 meters times 4 meters. This swarm of approximately 1,000 units will compensate for losses caused by interstellar dust collisions on the way to the target. In a detailed study in 2016, Thiem Hong and co-authors found that it was possible to reduce collisions with dust, hydrogen, and galactic cosmic rays. Although it will limit the quality of sensors on board, it may not be as serious an engineering problem as first thought. 2. Psyche Mission. The Psyche spacecraft, part of NASA's Discovery program, is scheduled to be launched to 16 Psyche, a metallic object in the asteroid belt, by the end of 2023. 16 Psyche is 130 miles (210 kilometers) wide and is made almost entirely of iron and nickel rather than ice and rock. Because of this unique composition, scientists believe it is the remnants of a planet's core that lost its outer surface in a series of collisions, although it is also possible that 16 Psyche is simply unmelted material. NASA hopes to gain information about planet formation by directly examining the exposed interior of a planetary body. Otherwise, this would not be possible. 3. Crew 1 Mission. When the SpaceX Falcon rocket launched the company's Crew Dragon capsule into orbit in November 2020, it became the first mission to use a NASA-approved private spacecraft to send a full crew of astronauts to the International Space Station. For the first time, the U.S. Space Agency has outsourced most of the design, development, and testing of manned spacecraft to the private sector. The SpaceX mission paves the way for more commercial flights carrying researchers, professional astronauts, and eventually paying passengers into orbit. This points to a future in which human spaceflight is not only more affordable but also routine. 4. Perseverance. Wanting to definitively answer the question of whether there is life on Mars, NASA launched the $2.4 billion robotic rover Perseverance. After launching from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station on July 30, 2020, it finally touched down on the Red Planet in February and now even has its own Twitter feed. Its goal is to search for traces of ancient microbial life, collecting rock and soil samples that can be collected by a future mission to be sent back to Earth for analysis. In its belly is the Ingenuity Mars helicopter, which has been busy since April making the first powered, controlled flights outside Earth and testing how an aerial rover could aid future missions and the Perseverance rover team. 5. Voyager Station. The next dimension of space tourism will probably be the Voyager Station, a high-end hotel that can make low orbit more than a day trip. When completed, Voyager Station will be the first commercial space station powered by artificial gravity, and the largest human-made structure in space. Orbital Assembly Corp announced plans to build a smaller, ground-based assembly system on Earth in February. But the main thing is that a 3-ring station will be built in orbit using automation and telerobotics. The station will accommodate 440 guests in 24 pressurized modules and will be equipped with 44 emergency return vehicles with automatic flight controls. The company aims to welcome guests as early as 2027. 6. Tiangong. China is building a new base for astronauts. Scheduled to be completed by the end of 2022, the 60-metric-ton Tiangong will be the only crewed orbital station other than the International Space Station, which is likely to be retired within the next decade. The China National Space Administration (CNSA) launched the station's first core module in April 2021 and sent astronauts to visit 2 months later. To complete the project, CNSA plans 11 launches, including crewed missions and the delivery of 2 additional modules to the low Earth orbit station. Once completed, Tiangong will be able to house up to 3 astronauts for long-term stays and will include a laboratory with 14 experimental racks and 50 external ports for studying the environment in space. 7. VERITAS and DAVINCI. After a series of exploration activities on Mars, Venus is finally receiving the attention it so richly deserves. In June, NASA announced plans to launch a 2-pronged mission to the second planet from the Sun. This was the U.S. Space Agency's first trip there in more than 3 decades. Venus is often referred to as Earth's twin due to its similar size, density, and gravity. And the VERITAS mission aims to map the planet's surface to help researchers better understand how the hell-like planet became so radically separated from Earth. NASA doesn't stop there. DAVINCI+ will focus on Venus' atmosphere and investigate whether the planet once had an ocean. The missions, which are expected to begin between 2028 and 2030, have a budget of approximately $500 million each. 8. Zhurong. In May, China became the second country in the world to land a rover on Mars. The Zhurong rover was on board when the Tiangong 1 spacecraft was launched in July 2020. It entered Mars orbit in February. But the goal was just the beginning. In July, the rover began regularly crossing the terrain of the Red Planet to explore and document the Red Planet's unique topography. Daily images captured during this journey will also inform the rover's visual positioning and route planning for its return home. 9. International Lunar Research Station. Marking an ambitious lunar partnership, the China National Space Administration and Russian space agency Roscosmos have announced plans to jointly deploy a space station, a lunar base, and a range of mobile rovers and intelligent robots into lunar orbit. Although the location of the lunar base has not yet been decided, it is intended to help researchers examine the external and internal structure of the Moon and enable space and Earth observations from the lunar surface. A roadmap for the International Lunar Research Station was announced in June. It is planned to be completed by 2036, with the 2 countries planning, design, development, and operation of the research. 10. NEO Surveyor. Designed to detect asteroids that approach within 30 million miles, or 48 million kilometers, of Earth, the NEO Surveyor infrared space telescope could play a game-changing role in NASA's quest to detect and address potentially hazardous asteroids before they hit our planet. Working with the University of Arizona Lunar and Planetary Laboratory, the U.S. Space Agency announced in July that it was continuing its research project to explore and measure the sizes of asteroids and comets in preparation for the telescope launch in 2026. The goal, to find at least 1/3 of the near-Earth objects that could cause major localized damage, that is, those larger than 140 feet across. 11. Europa Clipper. Europa Clipper, previously known as the Europa Multiple Flyby Mission, is an interplanetary mission consisting of an orbiter being developed by NASA. The spacecraft, planned to be launched in 2024, is being developed to study Galileo's moon Europa through a series of flybys while in orbit around Jupiter. This mission is a planned flight of the Planetary Science Division, designated a Grand Strategic Science Mission, and funded as the second flight under the Planetary Missions Program Office's Solar System Exploration Program. It is also supported by the New Ocean Worlds Discovery Program. Europa Clipper will carry out studies that follow up on studies conducted by the Galileo spacecraft during its 8 years in Jupiter orbit, which pointed to the existence of a subsurface ocean beneath Europa's ice shell. Plans to send a spacecraft to Europa initially called for the Europa Orbiter and the Jupiter Icy Moons Orbiter, where a spacecraft would be injected into orbit around Europe. However, due to the adverse effects of radiation from Jupiter's magnetosphere on Europa orbit, it was decided that it would be safer to inject a spacecraft into an elliptical orbit around Jupiter and make 45 flybys of the Moon instead. The mission began as joint research between the Jet Propulsion Laboratory and the Applied Physics Laboratory. Additionally, if the mission is successful, NASA will likely send a new probe to penetrate the ice sheet, which varies between 15 kilometers and 25 kilometers deep. There is currently no information about how the probe will be made because communication is cut off in a 25 kilometers thick ice layer. The other problem is that the probe sinks into water or is thrown into space by geysers. 12. DTN. Communicating from Earth to any spacecraft is a complex challenge, largely due to extreme distances. When data is transmitted and received across thousands, millions, or even billions of miles, the potential for delays and interruptions or data loss is significant. Advanced communications technologies are essential to advance deep space exploration for both robotic and human missions. Delay. Interruption-tolerant networking DTN is NASA's reliable internetworking solution for space missions. DTN will enable a solar system internet that enables automatic data distribution between users, no matter how remote in space their connections are. 13. Voyager 1 and 2. The Pioneer spacecraft may have been the first deep space probe, but it wasn't the last. The Voyager program was designed to explore Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. But as the probes remained operational, the mission was expanded to include examination of the edge of the solar system, the edge of interstellar space into which they were now entering. Like many missions before and after, both Voyager probes are powered by 3 radioisotope thermoelectric generators that use the plutonium-238 isotope to provide sustained energy. Additionally, each of the Voyager probes contains a compendium of sounds and images from Earth known as the Golden Record. This compendium also includes instructions on how to locate Earth if it were ever found by an alien race. 14. Artemis II. Last year, the inaugural mission of NASA's Artemis program launched with a successful test flight that sent an uncrewed spacecraft on a historic journey around the Moon. Although the Artemis II mission, the program's first manned flight, isn't expected to lift off until spring 2024, the public can soon learn the names of the lucky astronauts who will be aboard. The space agency has already narrowed down the number of astronauts to 18 candidates suitable for Artemis crew missions. Last month, NASA officials said they would announce the Artemis II crew in early 2023, so news could arrive at any time. The Artemis II mission is expected to send 4 people on a trip around the Moon and return to Earth. The next mission, Artemis III, will aim to land astronauts on the lunar surface for the first time since the 20th century Apollo program. 15. JUICE mission. Launching from Europe's Cosmodrome in French Guiana, the European Space Agency mission will spend 3 years exploring Jupiter and 3 of its icy moons, Ganymede, Callisto, and Europa, in depth. All 3 moons are thought to have oceans beneath their ice-covered crusts, and scientists want to investigate whether Ganymede's ocean is potentially habitable. Once it reaches Jupiter in July 2031, the spacecraft and its suite of 10 instruments will make 35 flybys of the gas giant and its moons. Some of the mission's goals include investigating whether life exists in the Jupiter system, how the gas giant forms its moons, and how Jupiter itself was formed. Bonus: NASA's Dragonfly mission to Titan. This is the highly anticipated mission to Saturn's icy moon Titan. The rover is scheduled to launch in 2026 and is expected to arrive on Titan in 2034, where it will begin studying the Moon's wide-ranging environments. Because Titan's atmosphere is 4 times as dense as Earth's, Dragonfly will be able to carry its entire science payload to different parts of the ocean world during its 2.7-year mission. Titan is likened to an early Earth counterpart, so scientists hope this mission will inform our understanding of how life evolved on our home planet. Yes, we looked at 15 future space projects. I also want to add this. Currently, SpaceX, Boing, and 15 other private companies are working especially on space tourism. NASA even signs contracts for these missions. I did not include these in detail because the number of such studies is quite high, but I can definitely say this about these private companies. Space tourism does not seem too far away. SpaceX is already making reusable rockets. Unlike NASA, new technological rockets are being built. As for Mars, scientists and NASA have the following concern: if we try to settle on Mars before exploring it, we will never know whether there was life here or not. So the first goal is to establish a base somewhere near the Moon in space. There are even ideas to use the Moon as a stockpile for other space studies. This is the general summary of projects in space. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more space-themed videos. Thanks for watching. Bye.